do is just hit record as well. So if you have any questions, Libby said, yes, you can. Fantastic. Great. So you can hear me, Libby. That's fantastic. So we've got about 10 people with us at the moment. And I think Jess has just alerted me that there's a few others that are going to be joining us possibly a little bit late. But we've got quite a lot to go through. And there's a lot of templates that I'm going to offer you as well. There'll be a link at the end of this webinar that all you need to do is just go to that link and you'll be able to download those templates. So you'll sort of see where all that sits later on. Robert, you can hear me as well. Philip can hear me as well. Fantastic. Great. And so I want to share with you some insights that I've had over the last sort of 6-7 years when I first started a hypnotherapy business, and then in spending a number of years coaching others on how to set up their business effectively and successfully, and doing so in a way that isn't going to cost a lot of money to begin with, but is also going to set you up for a lot more success. Now, whether you are here because maybe you're partially interested, maybe you're fully interested, maybe you want to start a full-time job or a full-time business, maybe you want to do a part-time business, maybe you just want to, you don't know yet what you want to do and you just want some more insight. And so you're in a good place right now, because I want to try to give you a very deep insight into the detail. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be sort of raw and real about how much work it does involve, because I don't want you to jump into something not knowing the true landscape and the effort that's required to do this quite successfully as well. So let's jump into it. Can't see your lovely face, just a still. Okay, let's set up my video. Hopefully now you can see my lovely face, Libby. I'll set that up. So, okay, so let's jump into this webinar. So obviously, most of you know who I am, Shane Fozzard. So the outcome today is to understand what mindset you need, and then also how to start up a hypnosis business. Also, how to create a business plan in one day. One of the things I see a lot of people doing is probably spending too much time on a business plan. I'm a big subscriber of having a business plan, but so many people invest weeks into a business plan and they prepare it, and then they rarely ever go back to that business plan. They rarely ever use it as a daily or ongoing tool. And so I'm going to show you how I create business plans, how I encourage other people to create business plans, and how to actually use it on an ongoing basis, whether it be on a quarterly basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis, however you choose to. Then also how to set up packages, how to package up sessions, I should say. Going to turn this phone off to make sure it stops buzzing. And then what common mistakes to avoid as well. Now, there's in business, I think the current statistics suggest that 50% of businesses will fail within the first 3 years. Within the first 12 months, I think it is. And then 90% of businesses actually fail within 3 years. And so a lot of business owners get it wrong. They start businesses and they don't get it right. And so the odds are stacked against us as business owners or startup entrepreneurs, or whatever title you want to call yourself, a hypnotherapist, that you're not going to be successful. However, the idea is for you to do things that are counterintuitive, to not be part of the norm, to not be part of the herd as such, or at least if you are going to be part of a herd, choose which herd you want to be a part of. And I'm a big fan of, stand on the shoulders of the giants that walk before us. And so it's finding people that have got a deeper insight than what you may have. And I trust that's why you're on this webinar right now. So that's the outcomes for this webinar. Look, why you're here, maybe because you want more money, and that's a good thing to do. I know some people don't like money. They're sort of, I think it's a dirty thing to do, but look, money is just a resource and allows you to contribute back to people, allows you to live the life that you want to live. And, unfortunately, a lot of the world revolves around money. And so maybe you're here to increase your income, which is fantastic. Maybe you want to more freedom in your life. Maybe you want to sort of work from home. Maybe you want to stop working for a boss and create your own rules. Maybe that's why you're here and why you're interested. Maybe you want to help more people. Maybe you've seen the power of hypnosis and you're like, you know what, more people need to know about this. And, I think that I can do justice to this and serve people, in which case, fantastic. Maybe you just want more clarity. Maybe you're unsure. Maybe you're sitting on the fence. You just want more insight. You don't know whether to go left or right just yet. And with more information and more understanding, then you can make a more clearer decision. Or maybe you just want to avoid making mistakes. Maybe you've already had a go. Maybe you've made a few mistakes. Maybe you're starting a business. Maybe you've already started a business and it's not where you want it to be. A lot of these concepts aren't just applicable to hypnotherapy businesses, but they're applicable to all businesses, as you'll soon find out. As we go through, again, I just want to remind you, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat function. There should be like a little chat box, little bubble, speech bubble. There's a Q&A function as well where you can ask questions. So at any point, feel free to ask questions. It'll pop up on my screen. I'll be able to answer them live for you. So the secret is to set specific and clear set of goals. It's when people don't have goals, they kind of sit back and they just hope things will get better. Well, you need to decide where you're heading to. The unconscious mind's kind of like a robot and it will achieve whatever it is that we focus on. So you want to be clear about what you're focusing on and be, as specific as possible. You want to create a detailed plan, ideally on a timeline. So it's one thing to have a goal set up, but if you don't actually plan the steps and how to do it and when you will do it, and be as detailed as possible. I was coaching someone the other day and they had this lofty goal of to complete their course, and they were designing a course. And I said, well, how long have you been working on that? And my client said, well, a number of weeks. And he felt like he wasn't getting as much progress as he'd hoped, simply because he had this one big goal, was one big task sitting on his whiteboard, which was to create his course. Now, what I suggested to him was to chunk that down into the 30 or 40 other tasks or minor tasks that actually make up that goal or that larger task. And that's what he started to do, and realized that he has been making some progress. And so the more detailed that plan you can have, the more likely you'll be able to stay in your flow, the more likely you'll know whether you're in perspective or out of perspective. And I'll sort of talk about what that is later on. You want to take consistent and effective action. So once you've got a plan in place, you need to take action on it. And it's not about just being busy. It's about being smart with how you use your time and your energy. And so it's being consistent, doing it on a consistent basis, but also being effective with your time and your energy. And so, so often people just get caught up being busy, but they're not productive and they don't create tangible outcomes. And so it's about managing your time and managing your energy and managing your focus and where and how you're working and where you're working. You want to maintain a positive mindset, because there are going to be some setbacks in business. There ultimately are. There's ups and downs, there's peaks and troughs, and you just need to have that positive mindset. You need to be in this for the long haul. You don't want to be like a fair weather performer that, you can handle it when things are going well, but when the chips are down, you feel like giving up. Well, that's not really going to help you. Look, I can tell you, in the first 12 months of starting my own business, there were many times where I felt like giving up. But fortunately, I had that right mindset. I had the right environment around me that kept me true to my purpose and my mission, and I stuck to it. And I'm so glad that I did, because I have the amazing business that I have today. You also want to review, learn, and modify from feedback. So you want to get feedback from yourself, from others, and ideally from people that are in the know, people that even more ideal, that have done it before. And if they haven't done it before, well, at least they've done it in a similar setting than what you're doing. Like, ultimately, I would say, don't try and ask your next door neighbor who is on Centrelink benefits and isn't really interested in business. Don't ask him what his opinion is, unless he is a part of your target market, in which case that's possibly good for market research. But don't ask people that aren't quite in the know about how your business should be running. Ask business owners, and ideally successful business owners, for feedback. Now, it says, modify from feedback. There's no such thing as failure. It's only feedback. And so when you try something, if it doesn't work, well, that's just feedback to know that you didn't execute it in the right way, or maybe you tried the wrong strategy. And so you just need to either change your strategy or execute it in a more masterful way. And then finally, you want to have an environment that supports your goal. You want to be surrounded with people that know more than you do. You want to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are. You want to surround yourself with people that lift you up to a higher standard rather than pulling you down. It's very easy to find naysayers and doubters out there, and people that are telling you, no, you shouldn't do it, and you're wrong, and that's not right. And I've had many people in my life like that. And sometimes those people are the people that are possibly closest to you. Just knowing that you can't choose your family, but you can choose whether you spend time with them. And I'm not suggesting you don't spend time with your family, but it's just about knowing, okay, well, who is going to be a part of my environment? My environment will either support me in getting my goals or will hold me back. And so you really want to start to have that responsibility around making choices, sometimes some tough choices around what sort of environment will you create for yourself. Because if you surround yourself with 5 millionaires, there's a good chance you'll be the 6th millionaire very soon. Surround yourself with 5 people that are struggling in their jobs and complain about their health and their relationship, well, there's a good chance you'll be that 6th person that joins them like that as well. I can just see my screen is moving a little bit. Someone's got a comment. Let's see. Hi, Shane and everyone. Oh, hi, Joseph. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm not sure whether it's Joseph or Mercedes, but thank you for both being a part of it. Okay, so getting on to the mistakes. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they try to do it alone. And the challenge with that is you can be out of perspective. When you're trying to do things yourself, and I spent a good sort of 10 years or so throughout my entire 20s up into my early 30s, where I thought I knew everything I needed to know about business. And I tried to be successful in my own businesses a number of times. And I failed. I failed many times. And it was all because I had this bravado and I was out of perspective on what I knew. I thought I knew everything I need to know. What I didn't know was it's so much easier to be successful in business when you follow a model that's already successful, or you have a mentor or someone like that. And here I was trying to do it alone. And so I was out of perspective. And the biggest challenge for anyone is being out of perspective. You just don't know what you don't know. And that's what I mean by being out of perspective. That, you sort of think, it's like my understanding of, taking control of the mind and having influence over my own emotions and behaviors is taken to a whole nother level since I've been involved in hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and positive psychology and all those sorts of things. Whereas you spoke to me when I was in my 20s, I thought I had all the answers. I thought I knew everything about how to control my mind and behavior, and yet I was a smoker and a drinker and all these other things that weren't working for me. And so often we're out of perspective. And I'd say we're all out of perspective all the time. It's just hopefully we're not out of perspective on things that are really crucial to us, but sometimes we are. And when you try to do it alone, sometimes you'll easily give up because we can kind of rationalize quite easily to ourselves that this is not worth doing, that I've changed my mind now. And so it's when you have someone else in your environment, that's when you increase your accountability. And so the challenge of doing it alone is there is no accountability. You ask yourself, how often have you said you're going to do something, but you didn't tell anyone about it, and then that time came around for when you should have been doing it, but it just wasn't the right moment. And that's what happens for a lot of people, is because there's no accountability there. Okay, so let's move on to the mindset. Now, the mindset of being successful in business requires a bit of a shift. It's a shift from going from an employee to a business owner. And you're possibly here because you're passionate about hypnosis or hypnotherapy. And so the question you need to ask yourself is, whilst I may be passionate about hypnosis and hypnotherapy, am I passionate about being a business owner? Because to me, you might be fantastic at being at using hypnosis. You might be really passionate about helping people, whether it be children, quit smoking, lose weight, confidence, sports, whatever it might be. I describe you as an artist. You are an artist. You are gifted in being able to help people using a set of skills, or doing whatever your service is. But are you willing to be a manager? And a manager is someone that takes care of managing the business. It's generally not the stuff that you're most likely passionate about just yet. But really what you want to do is fall in love with being a manager of the business. Fall in love with, you've already possibly fallen in love with hypnosis or being the artist and being the talent in what you do. Now you need to fall in love with the process of building a business and managing a business as well. Because when you start up a business, and let's assume that you are starting a business by yourself, then you are the sales manager, you are the HR manager, you are the CEO, you are the marketing manager, you are the customer service manager, you are everything. You are the accountant, the bookkeeper, you are all of that, until you either A, you outsource some of those things, or B, you grow your team to a point where other people can come in and take care of those sort of functions. But if you're starting out, well, then you're generally going to do all of that. And so it's about falling in love with the effort and the growth that you're going to go through to start to learn some of these other functions. Now, if you've got some environment around you already, like people around you who can help you, well, then fantastic. You're sort of further up the chain of being able to be successful in that business. But if not, well, then just know you may have to do it yourself. And so it's really looking at, you have a passion for helping people, but do you have a passion for business? And a mentor of mine once said that you don't want to fall in love with the result. So don't fall in love with the result of, yeah, I really want to have a successful business. Because in order to get a successful business, you first have to fall in love with the process of building a successful business. If you don't love the process of building a successful business, you'll never get a successful business. So fall in love with the process, then you'll get the result. Don't fall in love with the result, because to get the result, there could be, let's say, 12 months of hard work. Well, 12 months can be a long time for people, especially if it requires hard work. And so you just want to fall in love with the process, not the result. The question again is, are you willing to accept that high responsibility, or are you pulled back to low responsibility? And what I mean by that is, as an employee, you can switch off at let's say you're working 9 to 5. You don't have to think about work. You go in at 9 o'clock, you clock in. Now you're thinking about work. When it gets to 5 o'clock, you switch off, you go back home. You don't have to think about work. You don't have to think about the bills. You don't have to think about anything else other than your own life. Whereas as a business owner, there's a good chance for most business owners, and myself included, and all the ones that I've spoken to, that there is very little clock off time. I mean, you are thinking about your business. Your business becomes an extension of you. It becomes almost like a child, or some of your offspring. Most people become so passionate about their business that they rarely work 9 to 5. They're now working maybe sort of 6 a.m. to midnight sometimes. Now, I'm not suggesting you have to do that or that you should do that, but you just want to be prepared to move into that realm of going from an employee to a business owner. And so you also want to know your craft really well. Don't get drawn into the lure of, I'm sick of my job, so I'll just go and start hypnosis. And I'll start a business with hypnosis. I've been to Shane's course. I think I can remember how to do it. You shouldn't be in that place thinking that you know how to do it. You should know how to do it before you set up a business. You want to know your craft. You want to be an expert in it. Business is hard enough to be successful in, let alone you not being skilled in the thing, in the service that you're going to be offering to people. So make sure that you're as skilled up as possible, that you have thought about how you're going to help people, that you have documented it in some way, you've systemized it, and you know that you can do this really well and you can get results. If there's some sense of uncertainty, if you're unsure, like I get some people that say, yeah, I've got a client coming in, but I don't know how to do this. It's like, well, why'd you accept that client in the first place if you don't know how to do it? You should learn how to do it. You should skill yourself up and then go seek those clients. And so just make sure that you are an expert in your craft. You don't have to be the person that knows the most. You don't need to know more than me, and maybe you do, I don't know. You don't need to know more than someone that is also a hypnotherapist. You just need to know that you can get your client a result, and whatever promises you make, you are confident that you can deliver upon. And so finally, you want to get into the mindset of setting goals really specifically, planning them out, and then doing them, making them happen. The problem with Stefan and me is that we are both artists and don't have the finances to pay a manager. Then what? Great question, Libby. That's when I would suggest a number of solutions. One would be you either change your mindset and get comfortable with being more of a manager, or alternatively, maybe you can find someone that is a manager, really good at managing, and invite them to be a part of your business and give them sort of like, make them a business partner, as an example. I can tell you there's many, I guess there's probably about 30 people on this webinar right now. I'd say there's a number of managers in this webinar right now, people that are really good with business that maybe aren't as skilled in being an artist. They're really great at sort of the administration of business and although marketing, sales, all that sort of thing, but maybe hypnosis is not their thing. So that's one solution. It's probably the one that I would suggest would be a good one to consider, especially I know you're in Perth there. There's a number of people, there's a fairly good community of graduates through the Hypnosis Weekend, and also I know you know your Australian Success Mastery. And Libby, I would say maybe look for someone that's graduated from the Australian Success Mastery that's in Perth that you can then invite in as a manager. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're earning, let's say $1,000 a month right now through your business. Well, if you bring a manager in, if they're good, they should then, let's say, increase that to $3,000 a month now. So you're now earning $3,000 a month from that business, that manager coming in. Would you be willing to give that manager, say, 30% share of those $3,000? I'd say that's a probably good deal, because now you're giving $1,000 away and now you're keeping $2,000. So there's some value in starting to grow your team and inviting other people into it. Hope that answers your question. So my mindset, when I set up my first hypnotherapy clinic, I want to give you some insight into my specific mindset. So mine was, although I was fairly successful in the corporate world, I still didn't have much money because I was spending it all on stupid things. And so I thought to myself, how can I start my business with $0? I don't have much money. I just dropped $15,000 on personal growth courses. I was already in debt and I didn't have more money to set up a business. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to start with $0. I also thought, you know what, Shane, you have to be counterintuitive. You can't follow the herd. You've got to do things that are different from everyone else. So that was, again, one of my main focuses. I also said to myself, you need to be active, not passive. Don't sit there and create a website for a week. Don't create a brochure for another week. Don't create a flyer for another week. Don't send out emails and just sit back and wait for the phone to ring. I thought, you know, the fastest way to get a result from people is to connect with them face to face and confirm either a session or not. And so I knew I had to be really active. I also wanted to focus on making a profit on day one. And I can tell you, I just saw a heartbreaking post in a international group that I'm a part of. And I just saw someone had invested $30,000 in their business and realized that they had set up their business all incorrectly. Now, they're out of perspective. They had a great idea, but they didn't have the right mentor. They didn't have the right system in place. And now they're in debt by $30,000, and they realize they have to start from scratch again. And so don't ever be in a position like that. Now, I've seen so many people that have gotten bank loans and business loans, all this sort of thing, and they start off in debt, and they're in debt in their business for years, sometimes years. Now, in big enterprises, big corporate environments, look, that's a suitable and regular occurrence. But if you're a startup entrepreneur, I would encourage you to start by making a profit on day one. So try not to get into too much debt. And the great thing about a hypnotherapy business is it can be very cheap and cost effective to set up. You don't need to go and spend a lot of money. You also want to model excellence. And so that's what I was thinking, is like, you know, I need to model excellence. Rather than innovate something that's brand new. Now, there's a tendency for some people to be significance driven and to innovate something that's brand new. Like, you know what, no one is doing underwater hypnosis. That's what I'll do. I'll do underwater hypnosis. Well, there could be a reason why no one's doing underwater hypnosis. It could be because no one wants to do underwater hypnosis. You know, it could be that no one knows what underwater hypnosis is. And so innovation is risky. Yes, innovation has high return if you're successful with it, but it has high risk that maybe you're out of perspective and maybe the market's not ready for it. Maybe there is no market for it. And so when you model excellence, I think that's a much easier way to get results. So I know for myself, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to model excellence. Looked around and thought, well, hypnotherapy is really popular for smoking. And that's where I started. I wasn't really passionate about smoking, but I was passionate about working with people. I also said to myself that failure is not an option. I fully invested myself. Now, some of you have heard my story if you've been to the weekend events about how I quit my career and I fully invested myself. And it was a scary decision, but it was a necessary decision. It was me no longer listening to the fear that was holding me back in so many areas of my life. And I had to be a better version of myself and invest in myself and not let that fear hold me back. And that's what so many people are caught up in. They're caught up in that fear of, what if I make the wrong mistake? You know, what if I don't get my result? What if I do all this and it doesn't work? And yeah, you have to accept that there is a risk with each decision and each change of behavior that we make. But you just need to go, you know what, I'm going to fully invest. And if you're modeling excellence, if you surround yourself with the right people, if you've got the right strategy, you've got the right mindset, then the risk is reduced. The chances of failure are significantly reduced. It's when people don't do it in the right way. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't do it in the right way. So you want to fully invest yourself. And that's exactly what I did. And then you also want to build a following first and then an offer. And so what I did is I didn't go out and think to myself, you know, I'm going to go get clients straight away. What I did is I said to myself, I need to get clients today, but first I am going to just connect with people. I'm just going to connect with people and let them know I'm a good guy. I'm just going to create some raving fans by helping them in some area of their life, even if it's indirectly. And so again, what I see so many people doing these days is trying to become online entrepreneurs and setting up courses and online courses or workshops or whatever it is that they're doing. And they spend so much time building a product or a service or an offering, and then they release it and no one buys it. So many people have had the best, most, the best world-changing idea and have gone broke. Because if you don't have a following, if you don't have a tribe, if you don't have people that you have trust with, that you've developed goodwill with, then people aren't going to trust you. They're not going to invest with you. They're not going to take a chance with you. And that's what people do. They take a chance with you. They have to trust that what you promise you can deliver on. And so you want to make sure that you're building that following first. Got some people with questions. Do you run courses that will allow me to register with AHA? If not, can you recommend one? Great question, Robbo. Do we run courses? Our ASM courses are currently being reviewed by the AHA. We got a phone call from them probably a month ago, I think it was, where they actually requested us to submit a proposal for them. So there's a good chance that we'll allow you to join the AHA. I'm not a big fan of those sort of associations anyway. And the reason for it is because of the way that I model, the world's most successful, change agents, and most of those change agents, if not all of them, aren't a part of any association. And I feel that, are associations valuable? Sure, they are. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's Raylene. Oh, okay. Hi, Raylene. No, I was wondering who Robbo was. Yeah, so look, I'm not a huge fan of those associations. Look, I know they work for some people. They do increase prestige. Look, I've had some people in the past when I was running my clinic that said, oh, well, I'm looking for someone that's an AHA member. I was like, fantastic, great. Well, if you focus more so on an association membership rather than results, then that's cool by me. But I can tell you, I absolutely get results for people. And so I just had that confidence to hold my prestige in that way and got great results from it. So it just depends on what you're after and what you sort of focus on. What I can tell you though is you can get the international certification or the international association that you can join. So it just depends on what really you're looking for. So how do you start with $0 and make a profit on the first day? Are you going to expand on that point? Yes, I will, Jen. I will expand on that point. So how do you build a following? Great question. So to build a following, you just want to put as much exposure out there as possible. And so you want to be sharing. Firstly, have a website, have a Facebook page, and make sure you're sharing relevant content on a daily basis. Just give content, give content, give content, give content, give free value, do your Facebook lives, do free webinars, just get content out there and position yourself as an expert in your field. And if you do that for a good sort of, if you're doing it on a daily basis, if you do that for a month, people will see you as an expert after a month. It's kind of like you're investing in that future by really building that connection, that trust, and that goodwill with people before you ask them to purchase your service or your product. I understand AHA membership means a lot of potential clients can claim from their health fund. Yes, it does, Libby. Yeah, it does do that. And again, I just have a different perspective to most people on that, which is I never encouraged my clients to get a rebate because I felt like it reduced their investment in the process. And I've spoken to a number of psychologists, and one of the challenges that psychologists, or the ones that I've spoken to anyway, have said is that their clients don't get much of a result because a lot of their sessions are free because they're paid by the government and there's some funding there. And so they're not as invested. And that's why, for a psychologist, it's a tough gig for those that aren't sort of in sort of private practice, that don't sort of accept clients that are, paid through the government funding. It's a tough gig because they're less invested, and it's just one of those, it's the science of achievement. It is, you look at personal growth 101, it is, if you are invested in something, you are going to extract the value from it. And, there's that part of the bigger, I guess, system that's like, yeah, but what about the people that are really, poor and struggling with their money? And yeah, look, yes, I want to help them as well, but I'm not going to help them in an ineffective way. And unfortunately, to help them most, I need them to be fully invested. And, I'll do whatever I can to help them in the confines of knowing that I can guarantee those results for them. I understand. In fact, my best yet client decided to work with me so he could invest in the process by paying for it. Yeah, fantastic, Libby. Yeah. So, you've had similar experiences to mine as well. I think when you give something away for free, and then people don't value it. And I'm not suggesting you give away for free, and I'm not suggesting AHA means that you give away things for free, but it means that they're less invested. And if they only end up paying $30 for a session instead of $200, they're nowhere near as invested. Like, what have I got to lose? I've got $30. It's just like, a pack of cigarettes. Oh, I'll just, I'll bum some cigarettes from someone else instead. So yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of the associations, but I know some of you are out there, so I don't want to poo-poo them too much. But I do want to give you some insight into my mindset and why I'm not, a big stickler for pushing the associations as such. All right. I have a barber shop. Is it safe to create a following? Is it safe to create a following with my current clients? Yeah. Well, look, is it safe? When you say safe, do you mean like, are you likely to deter your current clients because you might scare them from hypnosis? I'm not sure what you mean by safe there, Sue. So maybe you can just clarify that for me. Let's move on, because I'm loving the interaction. I'm loving the questions, and I'm hoping it's useful for those of you that aren't asking questions to hear this. But let's move on a little bit. Okay, so to start up your business, you need to plan, you need to understand your legals, you need to determine your location, you need to set up your financials, you need to have systems in place, you need to have branding, and you need to have products. So I'll deconstruct those pillars for you. So let's deconstruct plan. The first thing I encourage people to do is to create a competitor analysis. I couldn't find my competitor analysis when I invested in my hypnotherapy business. So I just pulled out one that I set up probably a few years ago now for a public speaking course. But really what you want to do is create a bit of a spreadsheet or a document where you go and look for the top 5 or 10 competitors in your space or in your area, or even worldwide, that provide similar services, and then find out what else they provide, what prices they offer, and what packages they offer. And sort of, that's going to give you some understanding as to where your market currently is. Is it saturated? Is everyone doing quit smoking, or is no one doing it? Who is the world's best quit smoking specialist? And then, are you doing something that they are doing, or are you doing something completely different? And so it just gives you a lot more insight into what the competitors are doing in your space. And from that, you can then be a lot more strategic about choosing what you're going to do, whether you align with what they're doing or whether you do something different. Or what you may find, which is what I did, is when I created the world-class speaker training course, is I did an assessment of all the courses that I'd been to. I went and looked at all the other courses all around the world that I hadn't been to, and I put them all into a spreadsheet. And I then looked at what I was going to offer, what they're offering, what gaps do I have in my offering, what gaps do they have in their offering. And so I just took all the best pieces of all the courses that I'd been to and all the ones that I could get insight into, and I repackaged it all up into my own course. And so it gave me so much more assurance, so much more confidence that I was offering something that was world-class, something that no one else around the world was offering at the better value, that did all the things that I said it was going to do, that had all the outcomes and all the promises in it that no other course had. I mean, you could take out some of those elements and you'd find it in, this course over here and that course over there and that course over there, but there is no other course around the world. Well, there wasn't, at least back then, and I'm not sure whether it's changed or not, but there's no other course that offers what my course does, and it offers everything that every other course does. And so, it just gives you so much more confidence. So when I am talking to people about the world-class speaker training course, I know with absolute certainty that if they don't want to do this, they're not going to get that same experience anywhere else for that value, for that investment that they're making. And so you just have so much more confidence. And that's what I encourage you to do before you set up your business. Find out what the landscape is of your competitors. I've got some more questions. I was just asked today if I was accredited by AHA today. Okay, fantastic. And are we going to get access to these notes, as it's going a bit fast for me to get down? Yeah, Jen, so you're going to get access to all the slides, you get all the notes, so you don't need to be taking too many meticulous notes throughout this. You also get a recording as well that you can replay should you choose to. Okay, I'll go back a bit. I think I've jumped a bit. Okay, so you also want to reverse engineer tasks and actions. So you want to start off by planning maybe the top, just do a brain dump. Do a brain dump of all the tasks that you can think of. And I'm going to make it even easier for you by giving you a checklist later on tonight as well. But you want to reverse engineer the tasks and then be as really detailed as possible as to what actions you need to complete. You're probably going to, and I know some people get a little bit overwhelmed by this, but you might come up with like 500 different individual tasks to go through to complete over the next 8 weeks to set up a successful business. And I know some people are like, oh, that seems like such a big lot of tasks. I don't want to think about 500 tasks. Well, you can either just know that that's the landscape, that's the truth of it, or you can stick your head in the sand and just go from one task to the other, to the other, to the other, and eventually you complete those 500. So it just depends on how you work. I find that once you know what the landscape is and you know the plan, you can stay in your flow more rather than finishing one task and not knowing what the next task is and having to think about, okay, what's the next task I should be doing? I think if you plan accordingly, you can be a lot more strategic with it. You also then want to assign tasks to a timeline, and you also want to track your progress to that plan as well. So you want to make sure whether you're on task or not, whether you are ahead of schedule, whether you're behind schedule, or whether you're on schedule. And that then allows you to then know whether you've been productive or maybe you've just been caught up being busy, or sometimes we're still out of perspective. I know, just recently Jess and I created a plan and we were 3 days behind in our plan. So we were out of perspective on how much work we were going to do over the weekend. And we didn't do as much as what we thought we were going to. It was a nice sunny day and we decided we'd go out and connect instead. And so there are times when you're going to be out of perspective, and that plan is a good tool to help you stay accountable and help you know whether you are behind schedule and whether you just need to dig in deep and get things done. Okay, so the legals. Let's talk about legals. So some legals, some things to consider is you might want to get professional indemnity insurance. You probably want to get public liability insurance. You want to get an ABN and register your business name. You want to do some due diligence and risk mitigation. It's not a have to, but it's something to consider, like whether you get first aid training, whether you have an occupational health and safety plan. I encourage everyone to record the sessions. So do an audio recording. If you can do video, even better. But, audio at a bare minimum, just to protect yourself. I used to sort of say to my client that it's in their best interest, and I'd have a disclaimer in my intake forms as well that would let them know that they're going to be recorded. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just kept for archival purposes. And I also make it available to them should they request it. Then have intake forms and obviously disclaimers as well. Someone's got a comment. I have to leave now. I have to watch a replay. Yeah, you're fantastic. Thanks, Raylene. Thanks for being a part of it. Okay, so that's legals. Then you want to look at your location. So you want to choose where you want to have your clinic. Are you going to have a private clinic that is completely your own, or are you going to have a shared clinic? And some people have been really successful in sharing a clinic with doctors, with other massage therapists, with other hypnotherapists, or are you going to do it privately? Are you just going to do it from home, perhaps? I mean, that's another suitable way of doing it. You can just do it from home if you've got a spare room. I know a gentleman in the Gold Coast here who is very successful with running a pretty much a part-time business. I think he only works about 10 hours a week, and he works about 10 clients a week, charging, I think it's about $398. And he just has a spare office. It's not set up anything special. There's no, salt lamps or, waterfalls or anything like that. It's just a regular looking office that just has a couch in it and a desk. And I think a seat as well, like a bit more of a comfier seat that's not necessarily a couch, and a big bin with a whole heap of screwed up cigarettes in it that he gets his clients to throw them into. So, you can do it from home as well. But if you want to look for a clinic, then a good thing to do is go and ask local real estate agents for opportunities that fit your budget. Let them know what your budget is as well. And you also want to determine your size requirements. And ultimately, to do a hypnotherapy session doesn't require a lot of equipment and doesn't require a lot of size or space. If you are going to go for a location, just think about signage. Think about sort of passing traffic, because if you can be on a high traffic area, then a lot of that marketing will be done for you. I know that there's a hypnotherapy clinic down in Sydney that is right next to a train station, and so they get a whole heap of people coming off the train and then seeing their massive sign saying hypnotherapy. A guy in Gold Coast, there's this guy that does it quite well without having to do too much, is because he's got this big sign on a main road that just says quit smoking. I think it says quit smoking clinic. And does really well from that, and doesn't do much other advertising. And so if you get the right location, half your work's done for you. You also want to think about the equipment that is required. I mean, there is going to be some equipment, so seats, computer, and possibly speakers as well, if you're going to play music. Some financials, you want to have at least some funds to start the business up with. You want to organize an accounting system. Whether you start off with something quite rudimentary, which is what I've originally started with, which was just using Excel. I'm quite good with Excel, so I created my own spreadsheets and financials with that, and before I evolved into an online solution and things like MyOb and QuickBooks and Xero accounting systems you can look at. Taxation systems, so just knowing that you're in business, you have to pay taxes, you can't get away from taxes, well, not legally anyway. And so making sure you understand how the tax system works and that you're putting money away for that. The times that I see business owners get stung with a tax bill they knew was coming, but they didn't put money away for, and just causes so much stress. You might as well just put a certain percentage away of every dollar that you earn, and that way you've just got it there for when the tax man comes for it. If you don't know what tax rate to go with, then speak to your accountant and they should be able to help you out with that. Financial modeling. So you also want to set up a financial model. You want to know whether your business model is actually profitable or not. And I'll show you some templates to do that. You want to set up a budget. And again, I'll show you some templates. And ROI is return on investment. So you want to make sure that you're actually making money. You don't want to just replace a job with a self-employed job. You want to make sure that you are, at least living a better lifestyle. Now, admittedly, like if your business life is anything like mine, in the first 12 months, probably the first 9 months, that you're working pretty hard, and there's times when you're like, hang on, it'd be easy just going back to being an employee, not have to worry about this. But the long-term goal is what drives you forward, and if you stick with it, you'll get that result. Okay, so that's the financials. Let's have a look at systems and programs. And so what you want to do is help your clients understand what your programs are. Sometimes, like by saying, I do hypnosis, like everyone else does hypnosis, like everyone does hypnosis. And so what you want to do is really systemize and package up your sessions. And so you want to demystify what you do with explainable steps. So rather than saying, I'm a hypnotherapist and I help people quit smoking, what would be easy to say, or what would be more effective to say is, I'm a hypnotherapist and I help people quit smoking with my 7-step program, or my 7-step quit smoking program, whatever it is. And so you sort of let people know, so there's 7 steps to your program, or there's, with my secret 5 program, or whatever it is. Give it some sort of sexy sort of marketing term, and then it has higher perceived value. It's like, are you going to go to the hypnotherapist that just helps people quit smoking, or are you going to go to the Quit Smoking Forever Secret 6 quit smoking program. I don't know. There's probably not go to that one. That sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? But if you can come up with a really good name, it can increase the perceived value of your session. Then you want to plan your session by splitting it into two halves. And so the first half of the session is for conscious learning and pre-frames. And that's what we sort of talk about, the pre-induction, where you're just doing a lot of talking and you're building up those positive beliefs and you're pre-framing the client, preparing them for the experience that's coming. And then the second half is doing the unconscious learning and the hypnosis. The unconscious learning is like the metaphors and the direct suggestions, and then also with the hypnosis. When you're marketing, so often people sort of market as, yeah, I'm a hypnotherapist. They don't market on the outcomes. Now, people don't go searching for hypnosis. They go searching for the solutions to their problems. They go searching for outcomes. And so you want to think about, what do you promise people? What do you promise people? So something like, I help people quit smoking in 60 minutes. That's a very popular sort of promise that people make. Quit smoking in 60 minutes. And then you think about, what's the proof? You might say, 96% of people, there's been hundreds of studies. You might sort of quote a study that says that 96% of smokers quit smoking for life using hypnotherapy, something like that. So that could be statistical proof. It might be proof about the number of people you've worked with. It might be, something else. It might be someone else's got some proof, like Ben Affleck also used hypnosis to quit smoking. So you want to think about the promise. You also want to think about the proof. And therefore, you're not going to get caught up in promoting or marketing something that doesn't really appeal to the market that is actually looking for your service. Someone's got a question. Testimonials. Yes, testimonials are fantastic. Well, yeah, absolutely. Olivia, it's a great example of proof, getting testimonials. Yeah, good one. Free consultation. This is something I used to do quite a bit because I wanted to make sure every person I was working with, I could get a result. And I didn't want to get caught up too much in just working with the wrong people. And so I used to offer a free consultation. So if it's something you want to do, give you some insight into how I used to run my free consultations. Generally run them for 15 minutes, bring them in, have a chat to them. That's when I'd develop rapport with them. I'd reframe them for results. So I'd just let them know that they're going to get results with me. I'd then determine their leverage. So how big of an investment did they have in wanting to get this outcome? I'd give them an ordeal. I'd assess their belief systems. I'd assert my prestige. So I'd deliver some information to them that would build up my prestige more so, and then I'd move them to cause. And so these are the things I would do to make sure that when that client that came back the next day or an hour later or whenever we sort of set it for, that they were more prepared to get a result. I want to make my job easy, and I want to make their change easy for them as well. And so if you can do that free consultation, or maybe you don't do it for free, maybe you do it all in the same session. I used to make sure that I do this before I get them in for the full session. And look, some people don't like it, and I'd work with less people, but each person I'd work with would get a result that way. And so just know that what I used to do was build that 15 minutes into my fee as well. So if you want to earn, let's say $100 an hour, then let's say that's $25 for 15 minutes. So you then now charge $125 per session, knowing that one in every two free consultations aren't going to convert, let's say. So you just sort of make sure that you are covering that 15-minute free consultation, that you're not losing money for it. Some things that I encourage people to look at is creating passive income vehicles so that you make money whilst you sleep. So you're not the bottleneck for your business. One of the things that as a hypnotherapist is if you're only working one-on-one, there's only so many customers that you can work with each week. Let's say 40 if you're really working hard. So you want to be able to create a passive income vehicle, and ways of doing that is create audio programs or hypnosis scripts that you offer to other hypnotherapists. But if let's say you're working with just clients, then what I encourage you to do is create audio programs. So equipment that you need to be able to do that is you need a device such as a laptop to record on or a smartphone to record on. You need a microphone, so a lapel mic or a USB microphone. You need software, so you can get recording software that's free, like Audacity. You can get paid software. or you can outsource it. You can go to a recording studio. It's probably going to be a lot more costly, but you can do that. And then get background music added to it. So you can go to Fiverr and just get some random sort of woodwind sort of sounds. You can go to Upwork and get something a little bit more high level designed. You can go to audioblocks.com, or you can even use Divine Peace. Now, if you're going to use Divine Peace, which is our audio program, there are some stipulations around you do need to credit us for that music on the material that you create. Someone's got a question. Is GarageBand okay for recording a session? Absolutely it is. Libby, yeah. GarageBand on Macs. Macs are really high end with all the materials that they're built with. I'm pretty sure they still are to this day. The challenge with non-Mac PCs is that sometimes you can get a really bare bones PC, and so it might look good on the outside, but the equipment or the hardware inside is really cheap. And so the sound that you get from your audio program is only as good as its weakest link. So if you've got a really bad microphone, well, then even having a really good hardware is not going to help. If you've got a good microphone, but you have really cheap hardware, well, then having a good microphone is still not going to help. And so you ideally want to have high quality in all of the chains of that signal. So a really good microphone, a really good, it doesn't have to be $4,000 laptop, but just as long as it's got some high-end sound cards in it, that's generally what you're after. Then you're good to go. And then whether you use Audacity, GarageBand, Audition, what's another one? All these other ones, they're all fairly similar. The software can pretty much do a lot of the same things. Then in terms of the structure, so if you're creating audio programs, the structure is that you start off with a pre-induction. So that's kind of like the conscious learning. You then take the client through the induction. You then take them through a deepener. You deliver some metaphors, you deliver some suggestions, and then you count them out. And as a rough guide, if you're creating a script, and I always encourage you to write a script before you record the audio, generally about 120 words per minute is what people will deliver a hypnotic delivery at that speed. And so 3,600 words is about 30 minutes of audio. So when you're creating the script, just know that if you do a word count, and you've got 3,600 words, you've now got about 30 minutes of audio. And the reason why I sort of suggest you should look at passive income is because undoubtedly you will have some of your clients asking you, do you have a program I can listen to? I'm sure you do. Now, what if you, let's say 2 years from now, you've now worked with 100 people, and they've come to see, let's say you were a smoking expert, you help people quit smoking, and then you create a fear of flying program. Now, if you have collected 100 emails, then you can create a program in the comfort of your own home, in your pajamas or in your underwear, whatever you want to do, send it out to them via email, and you'll probably get maybe, let's say 3%, generally is a good term, 3% take up that program. You've now sold 3 of your fear of flying programs just from those 100 clients. So there's a way to really look at your business in a longer term and not looking at it in a transactional approach, like oh, you come in, see you later, you're gone. You want to develop a long-term relationship with your customers. You want to keep on serving them and keep on delivering them great content and great value, and eventually asking them for some sort of investment in you as well. Let's look at branding now. So branding is all about sort of what makes you unique. So why should I go to you over the other hypnotherapist down the road? What are your passions? So do you want to spend the next year working with quit smoking? Or are you the sort of person where you just can't stand the smell of smoke, and so you don't want to be anywhere near smokers? Do you want to work with children? Do you want to work with some sort of disability? Do you want to work with a problem that someone close to you is dealing with? I can tell you that the motivation I had to write probably the first 10 to 15 scripts was either A, because I had a client coming in that wanted that, or B, I had a friend and family member that was facing that problem, or C, that I was facing that problem. And so I was passionate about helping myself first. I was passionate about helping my friends and family members, and I was passionate about helping my clients. And so those passions sort of dictated a lot of where my focuses went. And so it's just about understanding, what are you passionate about? What do you enjoy working on? What's your most desirable client? I was speaking to someone a few months ago that I was coaching, and we're talking about them looking at helping drug addicts overcome addiction through hypnosis. And through some conversation, we're sort of talking about, but whilst they really wanted to help people like that, what they were really passionate about was working with children. And working with people that are addicted is completely different to working with children. And so we're just talking about whether that was the right model for this person to be looking at. Should they really be looking at working with addicts if they were really passionate about working with children? Because they felt like, well, children don't have much money, but, people that are addicted, have a lot more leverage to try and get off those addictions. So what will you specialize in is really what we're talking about. So how can you brand yourself up? How can you be an expert in your field? And then, like I said earlier, give a fancy or sexy name for your programs. There's the concept that if you try to catch 2 rabbits, you catch no rabbits. And that's sort of a concept in marketing, whereby if you don't brand yourself up in being an expert in one field, if you come off as a generalist, if you try to appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one. So what I encourage people to do is just find one thing and go after that one thing and do it to the best of your ability and get really well known for that one thing. And then you can leverage into other things after that. Now, like, the challenge is that as a hypnotherapist is you can help people with anything, but people don't go looking for anything. They go looking for quit smoking. They go looking for lose weight. They go looking for, fear of flying. And what I can tell you is, if you have one website, well, that website will be ranked in Google based on your keywords. And it's going to be very difficult for you to get ranked really high on a whole heap of different keywords, like quit smoking, lose weight, fear of flying, confidence. You have to pick one core keyword or one core thing and get really well known as that. Now, what I can tell you though is there's nothing to stop you from setting up multiple websites and therefore having those multiple funnels coming in. That's what we call you have a general service, but you have niche marketing. And so you really want to have niche marketing. So have a website that promotes you as a quit smoking specialist, and then have a different website that promotes you as a weight loss specialist. If that's something if you do really want to help people in a number of different areas, just set up websites that position you in one area as an expert. Okay, so I want to show you this planning checklist. So I'm going to give you access to this. There's a link at the end of this webinar that gives you access to be able to download this. It's in a Excel spreadsheet. So if you don't have Excel, then let me know and I will try to make it available in some other form, probably a PDF perhaps. And so this is the Hypnotherapy Business Planning Checklist. There are about 36 different items that you could complete. Someone's got a question. Okay, fantastic. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Livy. I'm not sure what the moi was. Is that because you enjoyed the checklist or you just enjoyed the last slide? So in this checklist, I've sort of broken it down into 2 categories. One is nice to have and one is essential. So we won't go through, I'll tell you what, I'll quickly go through both of them. We'll see if I've got enough time. Okay, I've got another half an hour to try and whip through the rest of it. Okay, so nice to have would be set up a client management system. So what that means is, how do you keep in contact with people? How do you sort of take notes on people? So MailChimp, Ontraport, Infusionsoft, and Aweber. You can see the example tools in the purple box there. These are some solutions you can consider. Content marketing system. So have a blog site, have a website that has a blog component to it. And so you can create content, you can share information with people, and you can sort of build that following and position yourself as an expert. Have an internet traffic system. So just know, how are you going to bring leads to your website? It all starts with leads. Have a marketing system. So how are you going to market yourself? Are you going to use Facebook? You can use LinkedIn. You can use YouTube. You can use Twitter. Have a passive income system. So you're going to create scripts, have an audio program, have video training perhaps. You can do online courses if you really want to. Have a scheduling system. So Acuity Scheduler is a online scheduling system that's really easy to use. Have a shopping cart system so you can make money whilst you sleep. So Ecwid, WooCommerce, SmartCart, and PayPal are some examples of that. Have a social media marketing system so you can use Edgar and Hootsuite Another what's another one starts with B, but I can't remember it now. Where you can have posts being posted on Facebook and social media for you whilst you sleep, should you choose that as an option. Video creation systems, so just know what it takes to create a video, if that is something you're going to be looking at. Working with children, check if you're going to be working with children. Have a resource creating system, so how are you going to create those resources, what's it going to take, to just know the strategy as to, okay, well, I need to set up my microphone, I need to plug this in, I need to set it up at this height, at this sort of distance, so that every recording is consistent. And then maybe have a current first aid training as well, just in case something happens. And again, that's that sort of risk mitigation to it. Now I'll put a duration in there as to roughly how many hours it takes to complete that. And so you can see it takes 94 hours to complete the nice to have. But let's say you're going to go, well, let's not start with that. Let's go with the essentials. So you want to set up an ABN, have an accounting system, association membership perhaps, bookkeeping system, budget, business account, clinic location, a computer, credit card connected to a business account for purchases, a daily checklist, a domain name, an FPOS device, a filing system, an invoicing system, legal, blah, blah, and the list goes on. So you can just see that list there. And then just mark it as whether it's completed or not. There's some examples there like QuickBooks, Xero, MyOb, QuickBooks, FreshBooks, I should say. And then sort of payment gateways like PayPal, Stripe, and possibly even your bank as well. So yeah, like I said, you're going to get access to that. What I have done though is just looked at, okay, all the essential things. If everything is essential and you do all of them, that's 56.5 hours. And so if you're only working 20 hours a week, so it's kind of like a part-time job, let's say, in setting up your business, it'll take you about 3 weeks to do everything that's essential there. Let's see, comments. Yep, no comments yet. Fantastic, great. Okay, so let's have a look at the 6 pillars for business planning. So this is how I set up a business, how I plan a business, and how I use it as an ongoing tool. So I look at the 6 pillars of a business, such as people, product, legal, money, marketing, and environment. In regards to people, what I look at is how many visitors am I getting? And so that sort of determines my marketing, my social media marketing, free content, and pay per click. That's how you get people to either just come to your website. You don't even know that they're there yet. All you know is they're a visitor. Then you want to convert them to a lead. And so for a lead, you want to know what's your ideal customer's age, what's their income, what's their problems, what's their desires, and what sort of behavior do they have? Do they normally buy these sorts of things? Or do you have to actually educate them into what you're doing? Is it a change in their behavior as such? And then once they become a lead, now a lead, you'll know what a lead is because they'll have given you their email address. And that's when someone becomes a lead. So or they'll walk into your shop. They're a lead when they either come in or they give you an email address. So they haven't spent any money with you, but they're a lead. They could. Then you convert them into a customer. And so you convert them into a customer through a sales process. You want to make sure you understand your conversion rate, and you want to have a strategy for how to do that. And then you also want to focus on returning customers. So how do you support your customers whilst they've come and used your service, and how do you support them afterwards? How do you do follow-ups with them? How do you keep them involved and engaged through newsletters and possibly other campaigns? You also then want to think about talent. What sort of talent can you bring into the business? Do you have a virtual assistant, perhaps, that does some of the admin-y work that you don't really want to do, and because it's not your talent and it's a low-level skill that you can farm out to someone else? Or do you invite someone that is physically present into your team, like I was suggesting to Libby earlier? And you also want to look at your organizational structure. And like I said again earlier, is that you are the CEO, you are the sales manager, you are the customer service manager, you are the HR manager, you are the marketing manager, you are all of that. And just when you understand that organizational structure and you actually map it out, then you'll have an awareness as to what sort of people to look for to bring into your business later on. You're also looking at people in terms of partners. So partners are a really powerful way of getting referrals. If you can connect with the right partner, if you find a business that already has 100 employees and you get into the HR manager's ear and they love you and they want to promote you for their 100 employees, well, you can find a lot of clients really fast that way. And then mentors. And so mentors help you gain perspective and avoid mistakes. And so that's kind of like the people component of it. So when I'm planning my business, I'm looking at how many visitors, leads, customers, returning customers, talent, partners, and mentors. And that's what I'm planning for. I'm planning those sorts of things out. In terms of strategy as to how to get customers, I want to really break this down for you into something that's a bit more tangible and actionable for you as well. And so if you want to get customers, which most people want to, they want to get customers, this is what I encourage you to do is, yes, get some business cards printed. Go and get some business cards printed. Don't spend too long on it. And the way I work and the way I encourage people to work is give yourself a deadline. It's like, you know what, I'm going to create a business card in 1 day. That's all I'm going to do. Give myself 1 day to do it. Well, not even that. Give yourself a few hours. Don't spend any more time on it. Don't procrastinate on it. Just get it done. And whatever you get done that day, that's what's going to print. And so you get some business cards printed, and you get some really good ones done through things like Vistaprint or maybe even a local printer. Then number 2, print some flyers and some brochures. And the way to create a brochure is, let's say you're doing a double page, let's say A5? I think it's A5 is a smaller one. And a small sort of A5 size flyer. On the first page, clear up a lot of the misconceptions and myths, because you want to imagine that flyer gets in the hands of a stranger that hasn't met you, that believes that hypnosis is mind control, that it doesn't work. Or so spend one side of the page just talking about the misconceptions and the myths that people have about hypnosis. And then on the second side of the page, mention the benefits of your program, really sell your program now, and a little bit about you as well to build that connection. So you want to focus on building a connection. You want to demystify the myths and misconceptions, and you also want to sell your program in terms of mention the benefits of it and the outcome of it as well, and maybe the sexy name that goes along with it. Another thing to do is to print a name badge with your title. And so what I encourage you to do is just go to Officeworks, get like a 50-cent badge made up, or maybe a $3 badge made up that just says, so Shane Fozzard, senior hypnotherapist, something like that. But I would have hypnotherapist written in fairly large letters. That's the main part that I want to get across to my audience, is the hypnotherapist part. What I used to do though is I used to go and get a really sort of that plasticky, and those of you who've been to our live events will know them, those sort of Perspex sort of temporary badges. And I would write my name as though I'd been to an event, and I would have there Shane Fozzard, senior hypnotherapist. And I'd go walking around on the streets. If I went down, did the shopping, I'd put that badge on. And I got so many inquiries from people that would read my badge, like from checkout people that were putting through the groceries and asking me for money for the groceries, and then would see the badge and go, "Oh, you're a hypnotherapist." I go, "Yeah, I am actually." Does it really work? Yeah, it does. And then I've got a conversation with them. I can have a conversation. I got so many leads and so many customers that way. So it's a really good way to create conversation in a passive and sort of subtle way. And then what I encourage you to do is go and speak to every business within a 1 kilometer radius of your location, and go and speak to the business owner. Find out who the gatekeeper is in that business, and offer them maybe a stress release session for free just to get them involved, and offer them something for free as well, just maybe some sort of freemium. And when I say freemium, maybe have some sort of giveaway, like a free report on how, the 6 secrets of hypnosis or whatever it might be. And so you want to try to get through that gatekeeper. I consider these gatekeepers or people that run their businesses in your local area as connectors. They can connect you to a whole heap of other people. And then number 5, offer them a referral fee and a thank you card. So what I used to do is go and take my business card and hand my business card to the let's say the barbershop owner, or the hairdresser owner, and I'd get their contact details. Always make sure I get their contact details. Don't be caught out by just handing out your business cards. Always try to get their contact details so you can control the flow of communication. The last thing you want to do is hand out 100 business cards and you walk back and you have no contact details. If you're handing out 100 business cards, you ideally want to come back with 90 email addresses or phone numbers. So you really will want to try and get people's emails and phone numbers in return. So you can then control that communication flow, and you start to create a database. And then also think about a elevator pitch. And so an elevator pitch, quick one would be, "Hi, I'm your name, and I help these sorts of people do this sort of outcome by my 7-step system so that they can live a life that they want to without having to use drugs or pills, whatever it might be." And so that's a really quick little elevator pitch. You really want to know your elevator pitch and be really confident with it, because if you can deliver that confidently, that can be the thing that really brings people in and go, "Wow, do you have any details? How do I know more about you?" So that's something you really want to sort of master, your elevator pitch. So that's a really quick little strategy on how to get customers. I want to show you how to convert an inquiry to a session, so on a phone call. So if you have people calling you up, so let's say, and it's a little bit of a scripting here for you. So you've got C, which means a client, P, which means practitioner. So someone will call up and say, hi, this is Frank. Hi, Frank. Yeah, you're calling to make an appointment. So you're going with an assumptive close. It's what's called an assumptive close. You just assume that they're calling to make an appointment. Now, it takes them to resist a little bit. They go, oh, I'm not sure. I have some questions first. Okay, sure. Well, look, the program is X sessions, plus you get a take-home CD set. And almost everyone quits on the first session. And it's guaranteed for life, so it means it's free if you ever need help again in the future. Oh, wow, that's great. Well, can you tell me how much is it? Well, the program's $397, but we give you a $97 discount if you make an appointment and pay in full today, which actually brings it down to $300. Okay, can I make a booking? And then you go through an approach of, and it says triple bind, where you triple bind people. So would you prefer Monday, Wednesday, or Friday? Oh, Wednesday, fantastic, great. Well, do you prefer morning or afternoon? Oh, morning, fantastic. So you've got a triple bind and a double bind. I've got a moth going through. Hopefully it doesn't hit you'll see this big sort of bird thing flying through. And so that's just a quick little script that helps you convert an inquiry into a paid session. Now, looking at products, so in terms of your product, so this is the product pillar of planning your business. So I've got a little bit of a mind map extract there. So you look at how to plan your products. So you have a product suite. Now, product suite means you have a freemium, so you have giveaway free content. You have a low product, so anywhere from $15 to $150. You have a medium-sized product, so anywhere from $150 to $1,000, and you have a high-end product, which is $1,000 plus. You want to look at your competitors, so your competitor analysis. You want to look at your pricing, so it might be $395 for 2 sessions with a lifetime guarantee. Could be your pricing model, and your range of products and services. Do you have passive income models, and do you have active income models as well? And so you're just sort of planning all of that out. You want to plan your legals out. So your legals involved agreements, disclaimers, insurance, your duty of care, and your due diligence. We talked a little bit about that already. You want to plan out your money as well. So do you have a payment gateway? Do you have EFTPOS terminal, bank accounts, GST, budgeting, financial models, and your profit? And then in marketing, we're looking at your branding, your unique selling proposition, so USP, your use of social media, your use of video, your use of content, and use of AdWords. So AdWords being like Google AdWords. So when you're branding, you want to come up with a logo, a color scheme. What do you promise through your business? What are you passionate about? What's your proof? And then what sort of pressure can you put on people? Kind of like, what's that sense of urgency to take action now? You also then want to look at your environment. So what's your home environment like, and what's your office environment like? And is it conducive to you getting a result? And you will look at the 5 closest people to you, because the 5 closest people to you are going to be the most influential people in your life. And so I can show you the entire business plan now. And so you can see those 6 pillars there. So people, product, money, environment, marketing, and legal, and the sub branches to it. And so what I do is start planning all this out. And this is me sort of planning. Now, there's a lot of detail to it. There's deeper detail. So you can have other sub branches as well. And hence why I do a lot of my mind mapping. This is an example of a mind map on computer, because I can go quite deep that way. But what Jess and myself and our team do is that every 3 months we get together and we assess all of these pillars and all of these sub branches. And so we will then give our leads a scale of 1 to 10. So how good are we at generating leads right now? Might be that, this quarter we think we're a 6 out of 10. Fantastic. And we go to sales. How good are our sales right now? It might be a 8 out of 10. And so you're just going through and you are assessing each component. And what I find is it means that you get to assess your entire business really fast. And it generally takes only about, maybe an hour or 2 hours to assess your entire business every 3 months. It takes you probably about a day to plan it. But then you have a business plan that you can use on a quarterly basis to ensure that you are focusing your attention in the right areas. Now, what we end up doing is once we've assessed all these areas is we're looking at which area has the lowest number. So it might be that, our AdWords is, only at a 2 this quarter. You know what? In the next quarter, we need to focus on that. We need to bring it back up. And so you're continually spinning plates. You may have seen people in the circus spinning plates, and that's what you do in business. You are spinning plates, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur. You are spinning all those plates. So you have to spin the plate that's about to fall and crash to the ground, because you just cannot spin all the plates all at once. So you just have to continually divert your focus, and this helps you divert that focus, but still stay consistently looking at a global aspect of your business, rather than just getting caught up and going, well, I'm making sales, so I'm sure I'm doing well in my business. Well, did you know that your tax is suffering? You haven't been putting any money away for tax. And so, just by having that sort of high level overview of your entire business means that you're more likely to be successful. There's not going to be any surprises. I have questions about legal. How do I get the documents? Do you have samples? How much does it cost? Thola, what sort of documents specifically are you asking about? What I can tell you, though, is that in the hypnosis certification manual, there's some samples of documents that you can basically use as a model. So that's like a quick way to get you started. So, but if there's something more specific that you're asking, let me know, and I'll be able to answer it a bit more specifically for you. Jen asked, which association memberships do you think is essential? I think it was in reference to the checklist. Look, I don't think any memberships are essential. I know some really successful hypnotherapists that have no memberships, and they just focus on results, and they hold that prestige. And I mean, they've got an association in getting results, a accreditation in getting results for people. So I don't think any association is essential as such. Insurance, can you give me more info, please? Perhaps suggestions. Suggestions on what type of insurance or where to get insurance? What specifically are you asking there, Libby? So some common mistakes that people make, and I know I've only got 15 minutes left. So if you've got any further questions, let me know. I'll still try to answer them as best I can. Both, okay. So Libby, in the checklist, I would say you want to get professional indemnity insurance and possibly public liability insurance. Where to get them from? In the past, I know graduates have gone to companies such as Fenton Green Insurance House. I think it's IICT is another one. So there's 3 examples. AON is another insurance company you can look at. So there's 4 insurance companies and the 2 types of insurance that you probably need at a bare minimum. Hope that helps. All right, so let's have a look at the common mistakes. So the common mistake that people make is they have a lack of clarity. They don't set clear and well-defined goals. They have a lack of planning. They don't create a detailed plan of tasks, and so they're out of perspective on just how much effort's required or whether they're on task or not on task. They have a lack of skill. So make sure you're sufficiently trained and masterful at your craft, and if not, well then make sure you do the work and the research to make sure you get to that level. You want to. Some people they lack action. So they get caught up just being busy and they're not effective and they're not consistent. And others, they lack belief. So you want to have that emotional discipline to stay in the right emotional state, because there are going to be ups and downs. Insurance House is considerably cheaper than AON. Oh, thank you for that, Danny. Great. That's good advice. Look, the biggest mistake that people make is a lack of support. So get yourself a coach or a mentor. Get someone that's done it before, that's going to keep you in perspective. Someone should have kept me in perspective about the fact that I spelt mistake. No, I didn't. I spelled mistake right. For whatever reason, I thought I'd spelled that wrong. But yeah, so the other day I was speaking to, again, a client who'd put together a plan and for this launch that he was doing. And I asked him to send me a copy of his plan. And when I saw his plan, I could see there were some crucial things he just was unaware of that should have been in his plan. And so I gave him that insight. And then there were some other things that he was focusing on that just weren't crucial. They weren't essential to getting the result. Now, he thought they were because he hadn't been through that process before. And so there's a lot of value from going through a process, because you learn a lot from it and you get that wisdom that way. Someone's asking a question. Yes, we are working on that. Fantastic. Great. Okay, so I want to show you a quit smoking program, because I know there's some of you that are probably interested in becoming a quit smoking specialist. So yes, this is an example of a quit smoking program. So some things you want to cover off is dealing with nicotine, maybe just the habit itself, the tension and stress that people are under and why they use cigarettes for that purpose. The fact that people imagine a cigarette is actually better than actually having a cigarette. So people are like, oh, I wish I could have a cigarette right now. And when they have it, they're like, oh, I'm so disappointed I'm having this. It tastes disgusting. And so dealing with that imaginary cigarette sort of vision, dealing with the sugar, the void, the punishment, and the parts therapy, that there is a reason why there's a part of them that wants to smoke and there's a part of them that doesn't want to smoke. And you can bring those two parts together. You talk about the harmful ingredients, the nicotine, the sugar, the tar, the carbon monoxide. You want to give them a VACOG, so a sort of a really vivid sensory representation of what it's like to be a non-smoker. So VACOG being the 5 senses: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. And that is achieved through the end result imagery. And then pricing as well. So you want to look at your pricing. So that's an example of just sort of structuring a quit smoking program. So again, that's kind of a way of making sure you're an expert. You're like, yep, I've got all that covered. I know these are the points I need to hit off. These are the things I need to talk about in the pre-induction. These are the conversations I need to have with my client. Yep, I'm all good. When you do that sort of research, or you do create that sort of list for yourself, you go into your session with so much more conviction, so much more confidence. I think I have a weight loss program. I do. Okay, so a weight loss one is slightly different. This is probably the ones that I do encourage people to deliver over a longer period of time. So you can have a 4-week program to lose weight, 4 sessions, let's say at $200, which would normally be $800, but you're going to give them a discount for buying in bulk or for the economy of scale. So it's only $650 for a 4-week program. You market it based on a hook. So your hook is, are you overweight? Do you want to lose weight? Can't lose weight? Are you sick of being overweight? That's kind of like the hook to hook them in. Do you have too much extra weight around your stomach? That's another hook. And then you offer them something. So what's your headline? Then how are you going to structure, what's the structure of your program? So in this 6-step program, you will achieve this sort of result. And not only that, but you'll get this bonus and you'll get this bonus and I'll give you this sort of guarantee. I'll make sure it's no risk. And so that just goes through that quick little structure of an offer. And then CTA means call to action. You always need to have a call to action where you want to ideally mention the scarcity of it. So whether it be a time-based scarcity, like this is only available this week, or this is only available to the first 10 people. Making sure it's congruent, of course, and then have that call to action. So what do they need to do? Call now, book now, click this button, email me now, private message me now, whatever the call to action is. So that's also a quick sort of understanding as to how to create a weight loss program. What sort of guarantee would you give in weight loss? Good question. Look, what I typically would do is not give them a guarantee based on outcome, but give them a guarantee based on whether they feel like they've got value for money. That the big challenge is making sure you select clients that are not going to blame you for their lack of result, because it's not up to you as to whether they get their result or not. It's up to them. And so you don't want to set yourself up so that, well, if I don't lose weight, I'll come back and get my money back. You just want to really assess for whether people feel like they get value for money. So you could do something like, it's a 4-week program, and I'll give you a money back guarantee that if by the second program, the second week, you don't feel like you got value for money, you let me know, I'll give you your money back. So you're offering almost like a trial period, I guess you'd describe it as. It's probably a safer way of doing it than saying, if you don't lose X number of kilos, I'll give you money back. Probably wouldn't work so much because it may actually reduce their investment that way. Hope that helps. I found that often with weight loss, the client is coming for a deeper reason. Yeah, they are in a lot of cases. Absolutely, I'd agree with that. So I want to show you a financial report and budget. And so you'll get, again, an example of this. You'll get a template for this. And I've got about 8 minutes left. I don't want to go over time for you. So I won't go through this, but you can see it's broken down into one-off costs. That should be, there you go, I've spelled that wrong, but it should be, it's not on-off costs. It should actually say one-off costs. I hope I've updated that in the template, but I'm not sure. One-off costs, so the things that you just buy once and that's it. Your annual costs, your monthly costs, your weekly costs, and your daily costs. And then you've got your expenses and your revenues coming through. And there's a bit of detail there, but you can have a look at that in your own time. like I said, you'll get a copy of this. Something I highly recommend you do is just to plan out and budget your business before you start it. Make sure you've got a model there that you now know your business will be profitable when you start it. And then I'll go back. And then you have a financial model over a monthly basis. And so you can see in January, your expenses are still there, and you have your revenues coming through. And what I've done with the numbers is just increase them over time, assuming that you're getting better at marketing, you're getting better at sales, and you're getting word of mouth and referrals. And so you can see that the revenues increase over time. It starts off by saying, well, you're not really making much money on, actually you're losing money in the first month simply because you are working in debt by sort of $2,000 to begin with. Let's assume it takes $2,000 to set up all the equipment and all the things that you need to do for your business. Someone's asking, Shane, did you have insurance on day one when taking clients? Great question, Lynn. I did not. My first day of business, my first day of being a hypnotherapist, I took a risk and thought, you know what? I am just going to go out there and prove that this model works. And then once I get some money coming in, then I'll invest in insurance. So when I said at the start, my mindset was, how do I start business on day one with $0? That was a part of it. I'm not sure whether it's something I recommend to people because it is risky, but I just trusted in my ability to do the right thing and choose the right people, and it worked for me. So it's up to you whether you choose to do that or not. The next steps. So make a decision. The reason why I ran this webinar is I really want to educate you and give you more insight and let you know that you now have a deeper, appreciation for what's involved in it. And so now you need to make a decision. Is it something you really want to do or not? Because there is some effort involved, especially to do it successfully. And the last thing you want to do is do something and not be successful in it because you're not going to feel good about it. If you make a decision that yes, this is something you want to do, well, then you want to set a clear goal as to what type of business do you want in 3 years' time, and then work towards that goal. In fact, I'd probably change it and just say what type of business you want in 12 months' time, and just work towards that. And then create a detailed plan. Be as detailed as possible, but be as detailed as possible in 90 days. Just create a 90-day plan and just chunk it down and get as detailed as possible, and then give it to someone to review it, looking for the gaps in that plan. If you don't have anyone, then send it to me, or ask someone else in the hypnosis groups or in the ASM groups or whichever group you're a part of, and get someone to look over it that has some insight, that's done it before. It can pull you up on where some of those gaps are, or where maybe you're spending time that maybe it's not essential to. But create a detailed plan and then make it happen. So work your plan and adjust as necessary. Well, there's going to be times when you're not going to be up to date with your plans. You need to move things around, and so to work on an electronic sort of format is really useful because you can just drag and drop things around, and so I use Excel quite a bit when Jess and I are planning our business. And then finally, get some support. So find yourself a coach or a mentor. That's one way of guaranteeing results. It's been the way that I've grown my business. I've always had not always, but there's times when I didn't have a coach and mentor, our business plateaued, and then I got a coach and mentor and took it up to the next level. But I started my business with a coach, and I've grown our business through coaches and mentors. So it's something that I eat my own cooking, so to speak. So I encourage people to have a coach and a mentor, and I myself have coaches and mentors. So if you want some support, we offer business coaching. So it's like insurance for your business. So if you're interested in that, we do have scholarships available. If you wanted to apply for a scholarship, there's no obligation by applying. It doesn't cost you anything to apply. You just apply as a quick little form to fill out, and then one of our coaches will give you a call to see whether we're a good fit for you or not. If that's something you're interested in, that's the link you go to, bit.ly/NL application. I might sort of punch that into the notes later on for you, just make it a bit easier for you. But look, just so you know, whether it be with us or someone else, or maybe you've got a business coach that lives next door to you, who knows? Get a coach or a mentor. A mentor is someone that's done it before. A coach is someone that hasn't done it before, but has some insight and can help you get there. So that's really the strict definition between the two. So in terms of downloading the templates that you've seen tonight, just go to learnhypnosis.com.au/HP BP webinar. And I'll tell you what, just to make it easier for you, I'll just jump out of this and copy some of this into the links for you, just so you can make it nice and easy. Let's go like that. Will that work? Yep. And I'll copy the template, link in there as well. There we go. And so with 2 minutes to go, does anyone have any questions that I can answer? Let me pull up my question thing and see if I've answered all the questions. Can we have more info regarding business scholarship coaching, please, Shane? Yes, you can. Is it Joseph or is it Mercedes? I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's probably Mercedes, is it? Whether it's Joseph or Mercedes, you can have more info regarding the business scholarship coaching. So generally what it is, it consists of a fortnightly coaching call where the plan would be for us to sit down and help you plan out ideally, firstly, find out what your goal is, plan it all out for you, and then help you stay accountable and help you workshop and sort of leverage off the collective wisdom that I have and the other coaches have as well. So that's probably me describing it in a nutshell. It's really designed to help you get your results in business and sort of, leverage off what we know about setting up a successful business and being that part of your environment. So I hope that helps. Any other questions I can answer? Well, if not, I do truly appreciate you all being a part of this webinar. I hope it's been valuable for you. I will be sending out the slides. You've now have the links to be able to download the templates as well. So just go down there. I'm pretty sure you don't have to enter your email address or anything like that. It just goes to a link and you just download it straight away. You're most welcome to submit an application. What I can say to you, if you're interested in the scholarship and the coaching, if you do submit an application, like I said, one of the coaches will give you a call and just to discuss whether you're a good fit or not. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you find a lot of value in this. If there's anything I can do to support you or help you, if you've got any further questions, please let me know. And thank you again for your time. And I look forward to seeing all the success that you have and hearing about all the amazing lives that you start to impact and change. Do you coach businesses that aren't just hypnosis? Absolutely, I do, Arthur. I coach a number of businesses that aren't hypnosis. So I've got a number of clients, one that's in the finance industry, another one's in the fitness industry. So yeah, I just do general business coaching as well. If that's something you're interested in, get in contact with me and we can have a deeper conversation. So again, thank you, everyone. I look forward to speaking to you all again soon, and we'll share some value then. And in the meantime, have a good night. Bye for now.